crime, cases, and backing the blue. Now, here are your hosts, Captain Ed Mehmet and Detective Kevin Schroeder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cop Talk. I'm Kevin Schroeder, your host. My co-host, unfortunately, today is on a COVID operation. That's what he tells me anyway. So standing in for him today is our producer, Joe Diamond.
How you doing, guys?
So today on Cop Talk, our guest is, we're very happy to have and very lucky to have Vickie Paladino. Vickie Paladino is a councilwoman in the 19th District in Queens, which covers the northeast part of Queens. And she was elected in 2021, and she's up for election in 2025. Okay, yes. Perfect, great. So welcome, Vickie.
Thank you very much. Love being here. Nice format you got. Beautiful studio. Look forward to talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Vickie, let's just want to talk about the murder of Jonathan Diller. I mean, it's a disgrace. It's a shame. The city's outraged. I'd like to know where Al Sharpton and his people are. If, you know, they're always out there for outrage. Well, this should be an outrage of the city of what happened to Jonathan Diller on Monday night. Folks, all our listeners out there, today we're taping. Today's Thursday, 3 days after the murder of Jonathan Diller. So, go ahead, Vickie.
Well, the outrage is coming. You know, unfortunately, and fortunately, it's a double-edged sword. You know, what we saw in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd, when they literally burnt New York City to the ground.
Right.
And we had 2 police officers murdered up in Harlem. I believe it was January of 22 when I first was sworn in. I was elected in 21, as you pointed out. And so we were sworn in January 22. We start our run. So when we heard about those police officers, you know, it was an outrage, and everybody was, heartbroken. And what we see going on here today is more heartbreak, and yet outrage, and yet we do not react as we shouldn't, because nobody should be burning anything down. That's the last thing we would want. But you're right. Where is the outrage from the other side? Why aren't we seeing people other than those who wear the blue uniform, or are people who support our police officers, which everybody should do, claim they do, but really do not? Why aren't they expressing their outrage? I call it crocodile tears on Twitter. Because, everybody will say how sorry they are and how heartbroken they are. And this is a devastating blow to our city. Right. And yet, the people I serve with in city council are the ones who help do this to our police.
The SBA board, the SBA, I believe, president, came out with a statement that you're aware of. And I like to basically, going against the city council for, of course, not being pro-law enforcement, as we all know, with the exception of folks like yourself.
Correct.
A small handful. Would you like to speak about that?
I think the SBA president had a great letter. I think it was about time that the SBA, which for those who don't know is the Sergeants Benevolent Association. We also have the PBA and the DEA, and it's time. I mean, I was very proud of him that he did that. You have to double back a little bit because you can't mix politics with a union, let's just say, or for whatever reason. I say I'm not a politician, so I will step out of the box and say I'll just be Vickie for you. Good for him. Good for him. Right. Because so often we see our union reps, our big guys, supporting people who are running for office who do not support them or the cause. Bravo that you said, this is to the president, Vincent, I forgot his last name, that he actually said the progressive left-wing Democrats that sit on the city council have got blood on their hands. I said exactly the same thing.
Sure.
And they do, because they have done everything in their power to take the power away from the police so that they could do their jobs.
Right.
And we're watching the turnstile bail system and the way that works. So this person, I will give him the credit of saying person, only because animals really don't do what this guy did on Monday night to Jonathan Diller. Cold-blooded murder, Cold-blooded murder for a routine traffic stop. 31 years old, dead. And the SBA president got upset. Good for him. More should get upset.
Exactly.
Because most of my city council does not deserve the endorsement or any credibility from any law enforcement union. None at all. So good for him.
Joe?
So I think the tide is turning on social media, on Twitter. Your colleague Tiffany Caban, who's one of the heads of the Cop Haters Caucus.
Abolish the police.
Yeah. So she posted. So after this police officer's murder, she posted something about the turnstile jumpers like being unfairly targeted.
God.
So I went to see the response. About 1,000 people responded, just denouncing her vehemently. There was not one person who was like, "Yeah, right, Tiffany."
Right.
So I take a little encouragement from
Well,
this.
we all could, Twitter or X is known as the Wild Wild West. It is. The thing is this: unless people vote and come out in droves and vote, nothing here is changing. Right. This is the very saddest reality that we as native New Yorkers are facing today. The fact that we need good candidates to run against these progressives. We don't have them. We don't. Now, when you look at the margin of people who vote, I could take my district, for example. I believe I'm 7 or 8 to 1 Democrat. Everybody talks to me. I talk to everybody. I don't care if you're progressive. I don't care if you're a Democrat, DS. I don't care, because in my line of work, we have to meet somewhere in the middle. We got to try to figure things out so that maybe we could see a light at the end of this very dark tunnel and very black hole that we're going down right now. These people that you're talking about, that I know, no, don't talk to her, or don't listen to the other side. These precious few have got so much power that it just amazes me to death. The fact of the matter is they have zero power. Zero power. It's the credibility that we give them, the attention that we give them. The fact that they sit on the city council, and I may step out of the box here too, Speaker of the city council stands with them. Mayor Adams, love him or hate him, zero control in the city council, because we see what they did when they overturned his 2 vetoes.
Right.
586 and 549, I believe, are the numbers. And what she did was she corralled these city council members that were not signed on. And she made sure that she got a supermajority, because the number of signers we had, she did not have the ability to overturn the mayor's veto. And that veto could have stuck. But no, she did her due diligence, and 2 very important bills, even though the mayor vetoed them, were overturned. The veto was overturned. 9 of us, that's it. 9 of us on the city council voted yes for the veto to stay.
This National Foster Care Month, Marine Toys for Tots is providing hope to children who need it most. Staff Sergeant James Caldwell, who grew up in foster care himself, shares that while handing out gifts at a Toys for Tots distribution event, a little girl looked up at him, reached into her bag, pulled out a stuffed animal and said, "Someone needs to make sure you get a toy too." That simple gesture embodies the heart of Marine Toys for Tots, ensuring every child, including those in foster care, experiences the kindness that can transform their future. Visit toysfortots.org today.
Unbelievable.
Well, so, Vickie, you should be an inspiration to more people to get involved with the system and run. Like, I first heard of you during the dark days of de Blasio, which unfortunately have gotten darker, where you were confronting him at public events, and you were really letting him have it.
Yep, that one time in Whitestone. That's what happened to me. If I had a crystal ball, I would tell you, I'm not going to be. I had no interest in being a politician. It wasn't on my scope of things to do. I was 63 years old when I saw de Blasio. And it was a very innocent thing. We were going home, my husband and I, and my husband said, "There's the mayor." I was, "Really now? What the heck is he doing in Whitestone?" So I'd never seen de Blasio outside of TV, followed him from day one. I was very political always. And I always knew my stuff. So I said to my husband, "Pull the car over." Long story short, he does. I get out. I wait for the B&C reporters to be finished. When they finished, I said, "Excuse me, Your Honor, but you did not take a question from a concerned citizen." And at that time, it was the murder, assassination, the second two, because we had two in his first part of his administration. This was 2017, when he was running for re-election for that November, where Lou and the other one, I forgot her name, sorry, up in the Bronx, she was murdered. Okay, they were sitting in a parked car, shot in the back of the head. That's cold-blooded murder. So I wanted to say to him that we need you here. He was flying off to Hamburg, Germany. He was an anarchist. He spoke in favor of the anarchists. Our city was in shambles. It didn't yet burn, but he was a lousy mayor.
Oh, sure.
And then as we watched the years progress, 2020, when they burned down the city, he was in charge, okay? Right. And we thought we had a city council that was as bad as you could get. The fact of the matter is, being in the council now, I found out that the prior city council at least spoke to each other. Democrats, Republicans, they at least spoke to each other. So the progressive agenda was not what it is today. It's an I hate cops agenda.
Right. It's the cop hater club.
Cop hating club, exactly. It's astounding.
Is there literally like less talking across the aisle now in the city council in the last few years? Because, you know, we read about this in the public, the growing polarization, but is it palpable?
I'll tell you what the real problem is. The Democrats that you talk to that you think will be, you know, common sense, because that's what they campaign on, you know. And they talk to their constituents. They're running for office, and they talk like Republicans, for lack of a better word, where, oh, law enforcement, oh, this, oh, that. Right. No. When they get into council, and this is what I tell everybody now, when they get into council, they vote against you, their constituents, every time they need to vote. They don't stand with us nine. No. Very few of them do. Oh, the baloney that they pass, yes, they sign on to our stuff. But the meat and the potatoes that make this city go tick-tock, right. No, they do not. Right. And they're lying to their constituents. So in, let's say, my neighboring districts where I know the constituents very well, I was born and raised in Northeast Queens. I know. And I will tell the council members from those districts, you better straighten up and fly right. Because I won in a 7-1 or 8-1 Democrat because they knew they could trust me. Right. Democrats are infuriated by what's going on. The average Democrat who lives in your neighborhood, in my neighborhood, doesn't mean a D or an R here. No. It means life or death. Right. And they're killing our city. Killing our city. Right.
What's your thoughts on with Governor Hochul? She sent in the
National
Guard and the state troopers to patrol our subways, which wasn't every subway, by the way. It was certain subways. I'll give you my thoughts in a second, but I'd like to know your opinion on it.
Give me your thoughts first.
Waste of time.
Exactly.
Okay, waste of time.
Why do you say that?
Well, cops are doing their job in the subway.
Correct.
These perpetrators getting right back out the next day.
Correct.
And then there's a mental problem issue, which cops are not doctors or psychiatrists. Mm-hmm. The city needs to, fix that program as well. Mm-hmm. So you have the mentally ill, you have the homeless, and you have the perps. Mm-hmm. It's just a revolving door. Yeah. So I think it was a waste of time. The cops do a great job. New York City Transit cops, NYPD. However, keep everybody in jail, get the right program for the mental health going on, right. And you can keep the state troopers to do their job throughout the state. And let the everyone else do their job
I
as
agree
well.
with you 100%. I was going into City Hall, into Chambers, and New York One grabbed me. And New York One said, Vickie, what do you think about state troopers in the subway? I said, they don't belong there. Simple, right off the cuff, a knee-jerk reaction. Because I didn't give it any thought till I did. And you know what? They don't belong there. Our cops could do their jobs if they are allowed to do our jobs. Our transit cops could do their jobs if they're allowed to do their jobs. We have a huge shortage of cops and transit cops. Because who's telling their kids, you want to grow up and be a policeman, don't you? No. Why would you?
Right.
So now you got Hochul again. I can't stand her. No, I'll be honest, I can't stand her. She's a liar. She does nothing for this city. What was this for? Ribbons and bows, Hochul? Yeah. Give me a break.
Press conference.
Okay, you've got all this going on with the migrants and all of this. You want to do something real good, Kathy Hochul? Do me a favor. Put ICE back. Sign the paper. Put ICE back. Right. Let them talk to our police. Let's start to deport these people who are doing these illegal invaders, and I'm calling them that now. Right. I stuck with the political correct stuff for the first 2 years, and when you see what's going on now with the flooding of the borders, draining us economically, draining us emotionally, draining our resources, our cops, and yet we can't turn them over to ICE to have them deported? What the heck is wrong with this picture? It's crazy.
Disgrace. Yeah, it's
crazy. It's a disgrace.
Totally agree with you. They shouldn't have been here. No business being here. Keep them where they need to be to do their job.
That's right.
Joe?
You were talking about emotionally disturbed persons on the subway. In one of the latest pro-Hamas demonstrations, which seems to have cooled down for at least a few days. So actually, they were protesting at the Gracie Mansion. The cops were trying to calm everything down. I noticed that more and more of the protesters are shrieking like banshees. They seem like they're having nervous breakdowns in real time. And I thought, maybe that's what's going on here. Like maybe we need to treat them as emotionally disturbed persons.
They're not emotionally disturbed, Joe. Sorry. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay? They hate Jews. It's Hamas. They're a terrorist organization. They know exactly what you're doing. And when you hear the drums beating, and you hear them screaming like hyenas, that's Antifa.
Right.
That's their trademark. Their trademark is not just certain headgear that they wear at times. It's the drum, the snare drum, and it's also the shrieking like hyenas. That's Antifa. Well, so you have Antifa joining Hamas.
Oh, yeah.
Are they mentally disturbed? Of course they are. Some of them are. But for the most part, this is intentional. They go out. They have a purpose. A lot of them are getting paid.
Right.
A lot of them are paid. So... no, they're fine.
But I should clarify. I'm not excusing. I'm
right. No, I know you're not.
These,
no, I know
these
you're
people not hijacking the streets. But I've noticed that they seem to be becoming a danger to themselves and others. So in that sense, there seems to be a kind of a collective breakdown going on among the fanatics.
We have that's another way of looking at it because who would be doing this if you weren't partially insane? Exactly. Okay, I mean, but no, if we want to talk about mental health crises, we talk about the guy with the box cutter, who just randomly on the LIRR, who the woman did not say excuse me, so he sliced her face. So those are the people who are mentally insane. See, there are the guy driving this car that shot the passenger that shot this cop, Jonathan. He was not insane. He's a criminal. There are criminals who can never be brought back, rehabilitated. Everybody better face that.
Sure.
Okay? And then there are other people who are mentally ill, who don't belong in jail, who need the help. They go elsewhere. Okay? This whole idea of, now we'll jump around to something else. This whole idea of closing Rikers. This is going to be the next thing up for grabs. Wow. Okay? Restitution is going to be something else that's going to be coming up. We're worried that the world's going to end. Did you know that? The world's going to end again? The world's going to end again, I think, in another 5 years again. Right. So we'll rather worry about green We rather worry about solar panels on our houses. We don't want to talk about the electrical grid that can't handle it. No, we don't. We want to deflect from the real issues that are killing this city. Okay? Don't talk to me about the green world. Okay? I've been around a really long time. The world's been ending forever. The world isn't going to end tomorrow. Fix what's broke in this city. Get real leadership.
That brings me to my next question. Congestion pricing.
Another beautiful situation.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, as we all know, the board of the MTA voted in favor, except for one, for congestion pricing. Another thing to kill New York.
Yeah.
In one of my press conferences, I said, right now, the island of Manhattan is in a pine box. And all we keep doing is hammering another nail in the coffin. Another nail. And that's how I picture it. It's sad. I love Manhattan. I love New York. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. I'd be with other friends my age down in Florida. Honest to God.
I believe you.
It's my choice to be here. My husband's choice to be here. But when we see this going on now, it's going to kill small business. You've got green streets coming out and opening up all over the city, killing truckers from being able to deliver their products. Restaurants are going to close because people cannot afford to leave their borough. Do you see? It's a crazy thing. In my mind's eye, I see it almost like they want to isolate us. Borough, you're in Queens, you stay here. You don't need a car. We've got buses that could take you. It's a whole psychological thing. But what I don't understand is how could anybody who genuinely hates, because you cannot not hate New York,
right,
and do what you're doing to it. I don't understand it unless you're really stupid.
Right. My personal opinion is, first responders, cops, firemen, EMTs should be exempt. Okay?
Correct.
So, because if that's not the case, then if you're working in Manhattan, why would you want to be a cop or a fireman in Queens or the Bronx? We don't have to worry about the congestion pricing.
Very good.
And that's about $150 extra a week, hurting the people
who
don't have much.
And a new cop is making up to $42,000. I think they raised him from 36 to 42. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I was at the Blue Lives Matter gala on Saturday night.
Right.
And there was a little back and forth. I wasn't sure. I thought it was they raised them from 32 to 36. And I think a police officer corrected me and said it's 42 now.
Right.
So, whatever. $42,000 a year.
Exactly.
To go risk your life.
Right.
Risk your
right.
life.
And then paid to go risk your life.
And now you got to pay, big money to go to put your life on the line for nothing.
Right. So why would firemen and cops and EMTs want to work in Manhattan?
Why would they want to?
And
once you graduate the academy, you serve 1 year on New York as a New York City cop. You go anywhere and make big money.
Oh, sure.
Real money.
Right, don't have to pay congestion pricing.
You don't have to pay that.
But it's funny. So today on the news, I saw someone from the MTA mentioned, well, fire trucks and police cars and unmarked cars will not have to pay congestion pricing. Well, hello, the city pays that anyway.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So you're not hurting the cop or the fireman driving that rig or the police car. You know. So, but I believe that certain groups, especially first responders, should be exempt from that congestion pricing.
Absolutely, and we have also the state. Because MTA is a slush fund. It's a black hole that we just keep pouring more and more and more money in it, and we're getting no bang for our buck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Our subways how long did it take them to do the Second Avenue subway? Then they're going to start something else. This is a racket, a money-making racket. Call it what it is. It's organized crime. Right. Okay. It's organized crime on a different level.
On that note, how's Northeast Queens doing?
We're doing great. No, honestly, I have to say that I love my job. I am so fortunate to have one of the most beautiful districts in the city of New York with the best people that I could think of. I was born and raised there back in 19 blah, blah, blah. And, my parents came here in my mother and father were born here. But we came to Whitestone in 1947. And it was literally farmland. My mother, who was in the Bronx with my father, and they got married, and they bought it off a blueprint. And my mother was off of Tremont Avenue. So for my mother, she's, Freddie, where are you taking me? This is the sticks. And it was, because when you 3-story walk up, you come downstairs, you're in the heart of everything. Yeah. So it was beautiful then in a different way. It's beautiful now, but we're seeing a lot of changes. So I do have a lot of constituents who have legitimate as I do. We have squatter issues in my district. I just did a press conference this past Monday. 400 constituents attended that press conference. It aired, ABC News did a brief thing on it last evening at 11 o'clock. But what happened was I did it Monday night, came home to the sad news about Jonathan Diller. It just took the wind right out of me, my gut, everybody, just blown away by this senseless murder. And but I do work very, very diligently for my constituents, and what I've built more than anything with them is trust. Trust above all else. Honesty. Trust. They knew when they elected me they were going to have a voice in City Hall, because I promised them that. I said, I will take your voice with me to City Hall. I may be in the minority, but I promise you this. Total transparency. I will throw open those big brown wooden doors that take you into chambers, and I will bring you everything that goes on in chambers will come back to you here, District 19, and now throughout the city, because they have me on all kinds of shows. I'm going to be on Newsmax tomorrow morning, and Marsha Kramer on Sunday. But the thing is, I deliver on my promises, and they know if they come to my office, Crackerjack staff, my head of constituent services, Evelyn, worked for CBS. She's younger than I am, but we're all around the same age, which kind of makes it real comfortable because we get it. Right. And I have some real young ones, too. And interns, high school kids want to intern for me. It's really amazing that, gray hair and all, I'm appealing to every age group. It's just, I love my job, and I'm just going to keep doing it.
We have a great team, and
I do. That's what makes it.
That's
what makes it. Without my team, where would I be?
So, a lot of your your district is the salt of the earth, middle class, working class. Right. Excuse me. So a lot of them probably are thinking of moving now to Florida or other places, and they're scared of what's happening on the subways, scared of what's happening in the streets. What do you say to them in meetings? How do you?
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder. It really is. There's the young people, 23, 24. What do you say to them when they can't make a living? They can't even, barely get by. You have the late 30, 40-somethings, married, raising maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 kids. Don't want to put their kids in public school. They want to go to private school, parochial school, through the roof. So you say to this young couple, well, some of them will say, I only have got 5 years left on the job, only got 10 years left on the job. They're shopping. Some have already bought, in Pennsylvania, little houses, that they're fixing up. They go there on weekends. People older than that, in their late 50s and mid-60s. I've had it, Vic. I got to go. Can't stay here. I just can't. I understand. I don't know. We're going to lose our whole tax base. These are our 40-somethings, 50-somethings, 30-somethings. This is the tax, our entire tax base. Why do they want to gut? Why? Why does the leadership of New York City want to gut this city and take out the tax? The very people who make this city run every day. Yeah. Why do you want to get rid of them? I don't understand it. And I don't think I ever will. That's why I guess that fighter in me comes out the way it does, because the frustration, it's not anger as much as it is frustration.
I'm sure we all have friends here who say, you know what, I'm done. I'm moving south,
out.
sell my home, going to make a nice buck, and I'm going
That's
south.
it.
I mean,
What
that's
do
what's
you
happening.
say?
You know?
Good luck, Vic. But I'll give you another side of the coin. I'm coming out of my office. I have a storefront on Francis Lewis Boulevard, and it's hopping. My office is hopping. We were dealing with people from Brooklyn today. So I see somebody, she says to me, not too long ago, it's happened 3 times. I'll just give you the most recent one. Vickie Paladino. I says, yeah, hi, how are you? You know, she said, I'm great. You know, I had to move from where I was living, another borough. And I said, well, if I got to move to Queens, there's only one district I want to move to. I want to move to that Vickie Paladino's district. that northeast section of Queens.
Sure.
And I says, get out of here. She said, I swear to God, I moved here because of you. I said, oh, go away. But she did. And now she only lives a few blocks from my office. But I've heard that 3 different times.
Yeah.
So, you know, I won in 21, and I won on the 20th year where they redistrict the lines. Normally, council is a 4-year term, and it's 2 4-year terms, which make it 8 years, and your term limited out. So, because I won on the 20th year, I had to run for re-election in 23.
Yeah.
Now I have to run for re-election again in 25 for my 4. That will be the 4-year term. So, and now you go back to 4-year. So it's a lot because you're running your office, you're running your district, and you're helping out as best you can throughout the city.
Right.
And it's not enough time. You need more time.
Right.
So
How about Vickie Paladino for New York City mayor?
no, thank you. It's
No?
very funny you
See?
should say that because I was approached several times
sure.
by some pretty significant people, and honestly, no.
No.
No. For me, my district needs me, and I'm not getting sappy on anybody. I'm being who I am. I will not disappoint my district unless I saw it going into hands that I know would do the same type of job that we collectively in my office have been doing. Right. I'm not giving it up to somebody who's going to just wreck everything I've tried to do and have accomplished.
That's great.
Yep.
Really.
Yep.
How about the Queen of Queens?
Well, that they use a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
That I hear a lot.
Well, unofficial
But you know what?
Unofficial first lady of the city.
So
Don't forget.
long as I can be a voice of reason throughout the city. I mean, I talked to Mayor Adams. Look, why wouldn't I? Right. You want to get something accomplished here. You want to work. You got to work.
Absolutely.
You cannot. You don't want to make enemies. I visited with Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton called my office 3 times. And Ali says, Vic, what do you want to do? I said, set it up. Set it up. Yeah. Let me go talk to him. That's what Vickie does. Right. And you know what? What we agreed on, Al Sharpton and I, because we're polar opposites, and that's a fact, but that's okay. The fact is that you're able, government used to be that way, where you could yell and scream at each other on the floor all you want, but they went out for a scotch and a steak afterwards. Those were the good old days. Right. That was fun. That's what made things work, conversation. Right. So what Al and I did agree on was the fact that the migrants are taking away economically from his community. Of
course.
And they are. They absolutely are. This debit card situation that we've got going on now with the migrants, that they're introducing this debit card. They're starting with 6 or 10 families, and then by next week up to 150 families. That's not going to work. Intentions may be good, but they're going to get screwed up because we have a crime element with these immigrants that are coming in here, these illegals. It's all underground. Yeah. The Venezuelans are, so far, the ones that are showing us that they are running a whole underground operation now. Wow. So these debit cards that they're giving to the family of 4, $350 a week. Let me tell you something. I have a woman in my office, single mother. She's got 2 kids. She doesn't have $350 a week to spend on food. They said they set up guidelines for that they could only be spent in bodegas on formula and diapers. Give me a break, will you? How quick do you think it's going to be before they start buying and selling these debit cards?
Oh, sure.
It's going to become a racket again, like the motor scooters. They're going to have this whole thing going on with these things that are I have legislation in for that as well, and they trade off. And what's going to start to happen is you're going to start to see those that they got a few bucks. They're going to be buying, and the underclass, that these are the migrants, mind you. Right. They have their classes too. Mm-hmm. They're going to be buying these or leasing these things to do Uber Eats and to do Grubhub, to do these other things. And they're going to be paying, like the mob, they're going to be paying off these guys who are letting them use these motor scooters. I had a respite center in my area, and they were shaking down the stores.
Unbelievable.
But through working with the mayor's office, who I have to tell you, pick up my calls on the first ring.
That's great.
So that's a really good thing.
That's good.
And I am grateful to the mayor's office and his staff for doing that for me.
Yeah.
Joe? Just one final thought. You heard about that moron who's a legal alien? He's making these TikTok videos.
Oh, isn't he something else? Yeah, he's a real dream. Yeah, I don't understand why he's not arrested yet. See, this is what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. George Carlin had a small routine about the word tolerance and political correctness. So long as we continue to tolerate what we are not or should not be tolerating, the word tolerance has gotten us into a whole heap of trouble. Because so long as you tolerate, you open the door this much, all it takes is for somebody to just kick that door wide open under the guise of you being intolerant. Really? No. No. I'll continue to be both tolerant and intolerant, you using common sense on what the particular issue is.
Right. Common sense.
Thank you, Vickie. We need more people like you in office and involved with activism.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Oh, Vickie, it's a pleasure to
Thank you
see you again
very
in
much.
person, and
Yes.
we hope to have you on in the future.
Sure.
And let us know when you're going to campaign for mayor, because we're right there. Or governor.
Thank you.
or
That's
president.
so sweet.
Absolutely.
People have said governor too to me.
Yeah.
I said, okay, one step at a time. But right now, nobody wants to see me just stay where I am. Right. People want to see me start to move a little bit. So we'll see what the future holds. Nobody's got a crystal ball. And to tell you the truth, I don't want one.
Right.
I'd rather just play it out and see how it goes.
Understood. But
Yep.
Vickie Paladino, thank you for being our
Thank you.
guest today on Cop Talk.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe. You could also follow us on Twitter at Cop Talk WABC. That's at Cop Talk WABC. Until next time, God bless America, God bless the NYPD, and God bless you. Until next time, be safe out there.
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.